Hey everyone, I really wanted to highlight identity change and the benefits of it and just how ongoing it really is, because a lot of people don't know how to do this. So I think for me, breaking it down is awesome. So identity change, here's your life timeline. So you have when you are born to when you die. Now, you could die at any time. That's how truthful life is. You don't know, you could die tomorrow, a tree could fall on your car when you're going to work. You don't know, right? Identity change is key because it gets you happiness and it gives you freedom. So no matter how short your timeline is, you are able to incorporate identity change to really accept that tomorrow could be your last day. You never know. Here's your life timeline. Here's identity change. You could have a huge life change. You would encompass an identity change again. And then you might find freedom and you might be plotting along well in your timeline. You have another major life change and it's a difficult transition. Let's just say you get divorced or something like that. Then you have a really big identity change and it goes for years and years. And then you have another big life change where your parents pass away. And that's even more of an identity change. So that's identity change. It's ever ongoing. So you might, have a major life change in your early 20s. Let's just say this is where you are right now. You'll encompass a certain amount of identity change. You might stop and really put the brakes on as you find freedom and you find that next chapter of your life. And then you have another life change. And then you might have many, many years. You might have 10 years of identity change. Who knows? Everybody's different. So identity change is massive in terms of, okay, how does this actually work? Because there is no right or wrong. So in that sense, it's learning how to live a life of one life in another life. You always have different lives and you'll move on and you'll have your old life. I kind of always talk about my old life now as I'm now here. Let's just say that was my life timeline. So I lived all this BS and I had a major life change, okay? And then that kind of catapulted me into this identity change. At least I was an old soul and I knew how to actually navigate this, and I learned how to navigate it. I'm now here, so my identity change kind of slowed down a lot. Right now I'm sitting here and I'm quite at peace. I'm quite happy. There's a few problems. I'm always going to have problems. I'm a human being. But there's a few problems, but there's no major detriment to me right now. So you'll find that when you do a life timeline and where you really need to encompass this, you'll learn that when another life transition happens and a difficult life transition, you can actually continue on and incorporate what you've learned here in a whole new different aspect here, and it'll keep happening in your life, providing that death doesn't happen in between this. So it's always good to have that perception and always good to understand identity change in terms of a life timeline, because you don't know when death's coming, okay? And we'll get to death later. But identity change is really important to encompass death and understanding your life timeline and identity change within itself. Because when you understand that, you live a more life of purpose and you will really find freedom with doing this. So I really wanted to explain that. I put 80 plus years because that's generally the medium life age that we live to, especially here in Australia. I think that will increase. I think we'll live longer. Technology with a lot of new research in the medical industry and all that kind of stuff will live longer. So, this is really going to become really important for the world to understand how to identity change, because you'll find you'll have a lot more purposeful life. This life that we've lived with codependency and always having babies and doing the same shit will really, really come at detriment because you'll find that the world will become more expensive. People won't be able to live the life of their parents and will really have to encompass a new perception of life and identity change and how important it really is. So that's why I love the work that I'm now beginning to do, because it really highlights the difference of having a good identity change and incorporating who you can really become and living a life of purpose, because that's foundations for an 80, let's just say you're going to live for 80 years. It really is a great foundation work for you. So learning that is so important in having that bit of an overview and having that really in your mind, that death can happen at any time, okay? And when you understand that, you are able to encompass it more, because this is freeing. There's a wrong perception around death and understanding that I could die tomorrow and I'm living my friend's life or I'm living my parents' life. I don't want to live that life anymore. I want to find and embark on something like an identity change and find my true purpose. So that was what I really wanted to do for this video, and really break down what I believe identity change to be.